We're talking about the biggest diesel locomotives on the Katy Railroad, coming up right now on the main track. Well, howdy everyone, great to see you here on the main track. Well, today I'm running some of the new SD40-2s from ScaleTrains rivet counter line here on my MKT Sedalia subdivision layout. Well, these big 6-axle, 3,000 horsepower units from EMD were some of the most common locomotives you'd find on American railroads from the 1970s through the 80s and well into the 90s. You can still find a few of these running today, like this unit on the South Kansas and Oklahoma that I caught a few years ago passing by the Heartlands Railroad Museum in Corona, Kansas. I remember seeing these big SD40-2s all over the place when I was growing up, and in fact they were so common that at times they got a little boring. But of course, now that most of them are long gone, I kind of miss seeing them around. It's kind of funny how that works. And even today, there are still some old SD40-2s in service on remnants of Katy's old Sedalia subdivision, now operated by Missouri and Northern Arkansas Railroad. Well, I found this former Sioux Line unit heading up the Clinton Local a handful of years ago. Well, now for some quick background on these units here on the MKT. Now, when the Powder River coal boom started back in the 1970s, the Katy found itself needing some bigger power to deliver those coal trains to power plants along its lines. Well, in particular, the Katy needed some units that could be used in pool service with the Burlington Northern. Well, the BN hauled the coal from the mines out west and handed the trains off to the Katy in Kansas. And so the railroad decided the SD40-2 was the best option and ordered several of these built to Burlington Northern specifications. Well, Katy took delivery of 37 new units starting in August of 1978, and several batches were built and arrived through 1981. While the original goal was to run these on BN coal trains, the unit slowly crept into general freight service across the system. Well, of course, these units could pull quite a bit, so it was likely tempting to simply tack these on anytime you needed that extra horsepower on a run. Well, today we're following these two units leading up the daily Train 102 from Dallas to St. Louis, and in a while we'll catch them returning on the next day's 101 back down to Texas. Well, number 625 represents a unit from a batch that was built in 1980, and number 632 was from a later order that arrived in 1981. Now, a quick admission here as you're watching my trains roll by, I still haven't changed my CV settings, so my trailing units don't have their headlights on when I'm running, and that's still on my to-do list. Well, at first, Katy's big new SD40-2 stayed on the main trunk between Kansas City and Texas. Well, that's because the line to St. Louis was in pretty rough shape, and the track would not have been able to handle these units very well. Well, that all changed in the early 1980s when some of the Sedalia subdivision was rebuilt to handle coal trains for the power plant at Ladue, Missouri, so the 40-2 started showing up at that point on coal trains. Well, still, they didn't typically show up on the general freights to and from St. Louis because most of the line along the Missouri River had lightweight rail and a lot of tight curves. Well, these big units would have been a bit much for that trackage. Well, that all changed in 1986 when Katy abandoned its St. Louis sub and obtained trackage rights over the parallel heavy-duty Missouri Pacific line between Sedalia and St. Louis. And so with that restrictive segment no longer an issue, the 40-2 started showing up occasionally on the regular freight trains. Well, these SD40-2s were certainly hard to miss, and one of the spotting features is the longer porches on the front and the back. Compare that to the shorter standard porches on the GP40s. Now, from what I understand, the longer front and rear platforms on the 40-2s came to be because the units were built on a longer frame, which was also used for the SD40-2s. Well, the 40-2s had a shorter car body than the 45-2s, so that difference in length results in these longer porches. So back to our ScaleTrains models here. As usual with these overview videos, I'm not going into the nitty-gritty details. We've got plenty of fellow YouTubers out there who have put out great videos with thorough reviews of these models, so I'm going to leave the deep dives to them. But I did want to point out some cool features and custom Katy details that really make these units stand out. And as always, my disclaimer here, this is not a sponsored video, and I purchased these units myself. Now, as with all ScaleTrains models, these come equipped with ESU LoCSound version 5 DCC and sound decoders. Now, they're also equipped with ESU-designed power packs with 2 supercapacitors, so things keep running for a few seconds, even if you've hit a small stretch of dirty track or have a bad connection along the way. Well, ScaleTrains did a great job of offering some customized details, not just between the different road names, but also the individual units within each road. So this is not the same generic body with different paint schemes slapped on. Well, let's take our 2 units here for an example. A 625, which had its 1980 build date, has the deck-mounted MU receptacles, whereas 632 from 1981 did not have that feature. And then you have the toilet maintenance access hatch on the nose of 632. Now, I learned those came standard on EMD units after 1981, which explains why 625 does not have that. Well, you can also see on ScaleTrains' website a special unit, number 621, which has some unique striping on the nose from when it was rebuilt after a wreck. Well, this is one unit I haven't picked up just yet. Well, I'll be honest here, as nice as all the details are, my very favorite part of these is the sound. Well, ScaleTrains put 2 cube-style speakers in these units, and they're now the most realistic-sounding locomotives I have on my roster. And when it comes to the sound, the best part is the horn. Take a listen. Well, the Katy used the Leslie brand RS5T horn with that recognizable deep growl to its tone on its SD40-2s and GP39-2s. And while the Katy had other styles of horns on its other units, this is the unmistakable one that the Katy used that stood out to me as a kid. And they also made sure to include the single chime horn on the back end. Well, for lighting, we had these nice bright LED headlights and strobe light on top of the cab. The number boards are also backlit. Well, these also have nice LED classification lights activated with function 5, which display white, green, and red, although with the Katy units, you're only going to need the white. Well, it sounds like most of our fellow Katy modelers out there will agree the colors on these are pretty accurate and impressive, with the shades matching the True Color brand paint. And they're very close to the new Rapido GP40s, so it's nice to actually have some closely matched units here on the layout. Well, as I mentioned, these SD40-2s were not the most common locomotive on Katy's line to St. Louis, but they showed up just enough to give me a good excuse to include some of these on my roster. Well, these are some really sharp units here, and I'm really enjoying them a lot so far, so it's possible they're running here on my layout a little more than they technically should when it comes to prototype accuracy. But my modeling philosophy here on the MKT Sedalia subdivision is that it's okay to bend history a little bit here and there within reason and not to stress out about things too much. And that's even something I have to remind myself of from time to time. Well, thanks so much, guys, for tuning in here on the main track. Let me know, have you got any of these ScaleTrains SD40-2s and what's your experience been so far? Leave a comment down below and I'll look forward to reading through those. Well, until next time, here on the main track, all aboard and all the best.